The Caribbean trembles. American warships circle Venezuelan waters, their shadows cast on Caracas. Maduro accused of drug trafficking, and opposition crying fraud, and Washington hinting at Noriega Part 2. The world watches as Venezuela stands on the brink of history. Late on August 31st night, US Representative Carlos Jimenez, a Cuban-American lawmaker from Florida's 28th district, set social media alight with two starkly worded posts on X.
Dictator Nicolás Maduro's narco-terrorist drug cartel is about to get annihilated. America, Venezuela, and the entire hemisphere will benefit enormously from the destruction of the Cartel de los Soles.
5 minutes earlier, Jimenez had declared,
"Soon we will see each other in a Caracas free from communist narco-dictatorship. Long live Maria Corina Machado. Long live Edmundo Gonzalez. Long live the United States. Long live free Venezuela."
His words came as Washington intensified military preparations in the Southern Caribbean. Since mid-August 2025, the United States has deployed a substantial flotilla near Venezuelan waters. Reports indicate the force includes 3 Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, the USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and USS Sampson, supported by an amphibious ready group with the USS San Antonio, USS Iwo Jima, USS Lake Erie, and USS Fort Lauderdale. In all, the deployment carries roughly 4,500 personnel, among them 2,200 Marines. The force is bolstered by a nuclear-powered fast attack submarine and Boeing P-8 Upper Poseidon surveillance aircraft capable of gathering intelligence and conducting strikes if ordered. According to Newsweek, additional warships, including the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul and USS Newport News submarine, are already patrolling near Venezuelan waters and the Panama Canal. The military build-up follows a directive signed by President Donald Trump in July, ordering the Pentagon to prepare options for operations against Latin American cartels, including Venezuela's so-called Cartel de los Soles. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt refused to rule out direct action when asked if a military operation was imminent. She said she did not want to get ahead of the president. State Department Secretary Marco Rubio, a central figure in Trump's Latin America policy, traveled on August 29th to the US Southern Command headquarters in Florida. There, he met Admiral Alvin Halsey to review US security priorities in the region. The Trump administration has cast the buildup as part of its war on narco-trafficking. In February, the US designated the Sinaloa Cartel, Venezuela's Tren de Aragua, and the Cartel de los Soles as global terrorist organizations, thereby extending the Pentagon's remit to target them militarily. Days later, on August 7th, the State Department doubled its bounty on Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro to $50 million, citing his alleged leadership of the Cartel de los Soles. A fortnight later, the Treasury formally designated the cartel as a specially designated global terrorist organization. Meanwhile, an unnamed US official has told Axios the Venezuela operation could mirror the 1989 Panama invasion.
This could be Noriega Part 2. The president has asked for a menu of options, and ultimately, this is the president's decision about what to do next. But Maduro should be bricks.
The build-up has drawn historical parallels to December 1989, when the US launched Operation Just Cause in Panama to capture Manuel Noriega, accused of drug trafficking. That operation involved 27,000 troops and left hundreds, possibly thousands of Panamanian civilians dead. Maduro, in turn, has struck a defiant tone. On August 27th, he blasted what he called the US gunboat diplomacy, accusing Washington of violating the Treaty of Tlatelolco by sending a nuclear-powered submarine to the Caribbean. Declared,
"Our diplomacy is not gunboat diplomacy of threats, because the world cannot be the world of 100 years ago again. The gunboat diplomacy I have so many cannons, so many ships, and I put them in front of you and you surrender or do what I feel like making you do. No, that's over. It's over. Our diplomacy is the diplomacy of dignity, the Bolivarian diplomacy of peace. Our diplomacy comes from Bolivar, from Chavez. It is a high-level, refined, admired diplomacy.
The Maduro government's legitimacy remains a central fault line. Venezuela's elections have been riddled with allegations of fraud since Hugo Chávez's death in 2013. The most notable case came on July 28, 2024, when Maduro was declared the winner with 51.2% of the vote. Opposition candidates Edmundo González and Maria Corina Machado quickly disputed the result, presenting tally sheets showing González had secured 67% to Maduro's 30%. The Organization of American States, OAS, declared the election untrustworthy on July 30, 2024. Observers cited irregularities, including delays in results, interruptions to data processing, and the failure of the regime-controlled National Electoral Council, CNE, to present credible evidence. For Washington, however, the stakes extend beyond democracy and narco-trafficking. Venezuela holds the world's largest proven oil reserves and is a close ally of both Beijing and Moscow. In the words of another US official quoted by Axios,
"This is 105% about narco-terrorism, but if Maduro winds up no longer in power, no one will be crying."
Allies are lining up as tensions mount over Venezuela. France has pledged warships to the Caribbean, while Trinidad and Tobago has opened its waters to US forces. In Mexico and Ecuador, Secretary Marco Rubio is pushing for deeper cooperation, with Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa calling a referendum on foreign bases. Colombia's Gustavo Petro denounced the deployment as a grab for oil, but reinforced the border with 25,000 troops. Brazil has even floated exile for Maduro to avoid US capture. Echoes of Panama resonate, yet the stakes are far greater. Sovereignty, democracy, and the region's stability hang in the balance. Meanwhile, gunfire erupted on the Cuyuni River Sunday, as Guyanese security forces reported shots fired from the Venezuelan side at a boat carrying election materials. A joint statement from the armed forces and police said the patrol boat, which was escorting election officials, immediately returned fire and maneuvered to safety. No personnel were injured and no ballot boxes were damaged. The team later resumed its mission, delivering all remaining materials to polling stations.
The patrol immediately returned fire and successfully maneuvered the escort team out of danger. No injuries were sustained by any personnel, and no election materials were damaged or compromised.
The incident occurred in the contested Essequibo region, rich in oil and claimed by both nations. Guyana, holding presidential and parliamentary elections Monday, insists the area has been its territory since an 1899 arbitration ruling. Guyana has welcomed the US deployment of troops in the fight against drugs. Venezuela argues the Essequibo River is the rightful border and recently elected a governor for the region. Tensions escalated after ExxonMobil's 2015 oil discovery, though both sides have pledged not to use force as the case proceeds at the International Court of Justice.